More details. Now I will explain item by item in detail. This specifies the directional axis. This is used to abstract the digital axis. This specifies the inversion detection. Since in games it is common that if the character is turned to the left, the commands are inverted horizontally. If you choose manual, it means that this value will be dictated by yourself through the variable facing right and facing up. If facing right is false means facing left. If you choose by sprite, it means that this will identify the flip X and flip Y of the sprite renderer. If you choose by scale, this will check whether the scale is negative or positive to determine whether it is facing left or right. Here you specify which player this component matches. When you use the command sequences.sequence is completed function, you must specify this number. If you do not specify, it will be validated as player 1. If you enable the debug variable, the commands are displayed on the left-hand side of the screen and on the console. The following is the list of sequences. You can add as many as you want. They are checked at all times during the game. It is important to always organize the names because they identify the detection. Each item in this column represents each button to be pressed with sequence. Each command uses a standard axis or a digital directional. For each button you can specify what kind of event they represent: button down, button hold, button up, button released, axis. If the button or axis has a negative value, a new event with value comparisons appears, whether it is greater, equal, or different. And in button down you can also check if it is positive, negative, or both. This inversion feature is used to specify that if the character is turned to the left, the direction of this button or axis will be reversed. You can also add alternative or request commands in simultaneous time. Just hit the add to the right of the command. The AND operator stands for requisitive, and both commands must operate at the same time to advance in sequence. The OR operator means that it is alternative. You can push one button or the other and sequence will works. There are also no limits on how many buttons you can add on the same row. Deadline represents the maximum time for you to press this button after the previous command is done. If you leave this too low, it will require that the player's fingers be extremely fast. Anticipation means the time tolerance that you can push the button before the correct time. This is necessary because as humans we usually push buttons before the right time. The longer you anticipate, the easier it gets for the player. To use two players you must configure the axes input with suffixes corresponding to the specified player. The syntax is axis P, player number. For example, horizontal P2, vertical P2, fire P2, jump P2. To use three players is the same thing. You should configure by example, horizontal P3, vertical P3, fire P3, jump P3, and so on. If you forget to set this, you will be warned on the console, and it will give you instructions. CSD is also compatible with Playmaker. Install the package that is in the plugins, Layaluz, Command Sequence Detector, Playmaker directory, and a new action will be added to the Playmaker. This action checks if a given sequence has been completed. Quite simple. If you do not have the Playmaker, do not install because an error will appear. Along with the CSD you get bonus, virtual plug and play joystick. With it you transform any PC game compatible with touchscreen without typing a line of code. As it automatically interferes with the detection of the standard input axes of Unity, go to Game Object menu, UI, Virtual Joystick to add it. Enter it into the hierarchy. And note that there are components that specify which axis or button each virtual button matches. For analog knob it's the same thing. There are no limits to how many buttons you want to use. Very simple. If you have difficulty executing a specific command sequence, let me know that I will help you, but I believe that you can detect any sequence of commands because I designed this plugin thinking about the needs of Street Fighter. See you later.